Have you ever wondered how a paradise on Earth could become a battlefield? Today, we're peeling back the layers of a historical event that still reverberates. The 1965 Indo-Pak War. Its epicenter? The beautiful disputed region of Kashmir. The contention between India and Pakistan has roots deep in history, a legacy of partition and diverging national narratives. A paradise turned war zone, a conflict that has transcended generations. Well, the tale of the 1965 Indo-Pak War is complex, and today we delve into its intricacies. The seeds of this conflict were sown long before, at the time of the partition in 1947. The partition of British India into two independent nations, India and Pakistan, was a complex and contentious process. The division, based on religious lines, left a legacy of territorial disputes and sectarian tensions. At the heart of these disputes lay the beautiful, strategically important region of Kashmir. Kashmir, with its Muslim-majority population but Hindu leader, was a bone of contention from the start. As both nations laid claim to this region, it became a symbol of the unfinished business of partition. The situation was further complicated by the involvement of local, national, and international politics. As years turned into decades, the dispute over Kashmir festered, leading to sporadic skirmishes and diplomatic standoffs. The bitterness and resentment on both sides grew, with neither willing to back down. The unresolved issue of Kashmir was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. In the backdrop of these simmering tensions, the stage was set for a full-blown war. The spark that ignited the war was not a sudden event, but a series of escalations. The situation on the ground in Kashmir was tense. Following the failure of diplomatic efforts to solve the Kashmir dispute, Pakistan launched Operation Gibraltar in the summer of 1965. This covert mission aimed to infiltrate Pakistani soldiers and Kashmiri insurgents into Indian-administered Kashmir with the goal of sparking a rebellion among the local population. The operation, named after the strait that connected the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, hoped to create a similar path for Kashmir to join Pakistan. However, the operation did not go as planned. The locals did not rise up in revolt as expected, and instead, many of the infiltrators were reported to the Indian authorities. This led to a series of skirmishes between the Indian army and the infiltrators throughout the region. The conflict was no longer covert. It was now an open confrontation. The situation escalated further when India launched a counter-offensive, Operation Grand Slam, targeting the Pakistani-controlled part of Kashmir. India's aim was not just to repel the infiltrators, but also to seize control of key strategic points in the region. These initial engagements were like a small flame that quickly turned into a raging inferno. The war was not limited to Kashmir. It had now spread to other parts of both countries, with both sides launching attacks and counterattacks. The world watched anxiously as two young nations, born from the same womb, were now locked in a deadly embrace. The war had now become a full-fledged international issue. Countries around the world watched on as the situation escalated, with some offering mediation efforts. The United Nations Security Council was engaged, and international pressure began to mount on both India and Pakistan to cease hostilities and return to the negotiation table. As international pressure mounted, the war reached its climax. In the throes of battle, both nations demonstrated their military prowess. The conflict was marked by several major battles and strategic maneuvers that revealed the tenacity and determination of both sides. The Battle of Asal Uta, one of the largest tank battles fought during the war, is a testament to this. The Indian forces, adopting a defensive strategy, lured the Pakistani tanks into a killing ground, turning the tide of the war. The battleground, Asal Uta, fittingly translates to real answer in English, an apt commentary on the intense face-off that occurred there. On the Pakistani side, a prominent battle was fought at Chawinda, a small town in the Sialkot district. The Battle of Chawinda, often referred to as the Graveyard of Tanks, was one of the largest tank battles since World War II. The Pakistani forces, though outnumbered, held their ground, displaying their strategic acumen and bravery. Throughout the war, both sides employed a variety of strategies, ranging from aggressive offensives to calculated defensives. India's Operation Gibraltar aimed to infiltrate Jammu and Kashmir to incite an insurgency against Indian rule. Pakistan, on the other hand, initiated Operation Grand Slam with the objective of capturing the vital town of Akhnor to sever Indian communications. In the air, the Indian Air Force and the Pakistan Air Force engaged in several dogfights, each trying to gain aerial supremacy. These battles saw the use of sophisticated jet fighters, marking a new era in the history of aerial warfare. The war also saw the use of naval forces, with both the Indian Navy and the Pakistan Navy playing crucial roles. The naval blockade by the Indian Navy effectively cut off Pakistan's sea trade, while the Pakistan Navy's successful attacks on the Indian coastal city of Dwarka underscored the importance of naval power in modern warfare. Despite the fierce fighting, the war ended in a stalemate. Both nations had given their all, showing the world their military might and resilience. However, the conflict over Kashmir remained unresolved, a testament to the complexity and enduring nature of this dispute. The guns fell silent, but the echoes of the war lingered on. In the wake of the 1965 Indo-Pak War, the landscape of Kashmir bore the scars of a fierce conflict. As the smoke cleared, the people of both nations were left to contend with the aftermath, a period marked by grief, resilience, and a desperate yearning for peace. The immediate aftermath saw the signing of the Tashkent Declaration on January 10, 1966. This agreement, mediated by the Soviet Union, required both India and Pakistan to withdraw all armed forces to pre-war positions and return all captured territory and prisoners of war. Despite this, the Tashkent Declaration did not address the core issue of Kashmir, leaving the proverbial elephant in the room untouched. The human cost of the war was significant. Thousands of soldiers from both sides lost their lives, leaving behind grieving families and a generation marked by loss. The war also resulted in countless civilian casualties and displacement, with many forced to leave their homes amidst the chaos. The psychological trauma inflicted on the people, particularly those living in the disputed region, was immeasurable. In terms of Indo-Pak relations, the war marked a significant turning point. Trust, already fragile, was further eroded. The unresolved issue of Kashmir continued to be a bone of contention, fueling further hostility and suspicion. The war did not bring about a resolution, but instead deepened the divide. Yet, amidst the desolation, there were also stories of resilience and hope. Individuals and communities came together, demonstrating the indomitable human spirit. The war served as a grim reminder of the cost of conflict and the urgent need for dialogue and reconciliation. In the end, the 1965 war between India and Pakistan over Kashmir was more than a territorial dispute. It was a human tragedy, a stark reminder of the repercussions of unresolved issues and the futility of war. The war left a lasting impact, the ripples of which are felt even today. More than half a century later, the question remains: who really won the 1965 Indo-Pak War? As we've journeyed through the complex tapestry of this historic event, we've discovered that the answer is not as straightforward as one might think. The war, ignited by long-standing territorial disputes over the Kashmir region, was a critical juncture in the history of both India and Pakistan. It was a conflict marked by fierce battles, strategic maneuvering, and ultimately, a ceasefire brokered by international powers. The war ended with the Tashkent Agreement, which officially declared a return to the pre-war boundaries. However, the underlying issue, the question of Kashmir's rightful ownership, remained unresolved. This has left a lasting mark on the relationship between these two nations, shaping their political discourse and foreign policies even today. In our exploration, we've seen how the war had far-reaching consequences. For India, it was a test of the nation's military strength and strategic capabilities. Despite resource constraints, India managed to thwart Pakistan's Operation Gibraltar and maintain control over the majority of Kashmir. For Pakistan, it was a wake-up call, prompting a re-evaluation of their military strategies and sparking significant changes in their defense policies. Yet beneath these national narratives lies the untold story of the people of Kashmir. Caught in the crossfire of this protracted dispute, they have borne the brunt of the conflict. The war has left a lasting legacy of tension and unrest, affecting generations of Kashmiris. The unresolved question of Kashmir continues to fuel tensions between India and Pakistan. The region, known for its breathtaking beauty, remains a geopolitical hotspot, a symbolic battleground where national identities and aspirations collide. Whether it's through diplomatic talks or military skirmishes, the echo of the 1965 war still resonates in the valley, a grim reminder of the enduring conflict. In essence, the 1965 Indo-Pak War is more than a historical event. It's a prism through which we can view the complexities of regional politics, national identities, and the human cost of war. It serves as a poignant reminder that the echoes of past conflicts can reverberate long into the future, shaping not just nations but the lives of those caught in their wake. As we look back at the 1965 Indo-Pak War, we are reminded of the enduring power of unresolved conflicts and the human cost of war.